If I call your name, please come forward. Christy Capel. Christy Capel.
Christy Capel.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Big old stack right there. Hang on just a second. We're waiting for the court reporter. What's on the screen? I wonder why the screen's like that. Oh, great. All right, remember you, Christy Capel?
Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Capel, you were previously in court and given some time to try to go hire a lawyer. Did you get someone hired?
Yes, but I don't think he's here.
Who'd you hire?
Right? Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you'll just have a seat in the courtroom until he gets here. Claudia Hebert. Thanks, George. Good morning, ma'am. Are you Claudia Hebert? And Ms. Hebert, you were previously here and given some time to try to hire a lawyer. Did you get someone hired?
No, ma'am. Things I've reached out to financially, I could not do that, especially in a month.
Especially on what?
Like in just a month.
Who'd you talk to?
Rife, Mr. Hurd, William Gertz, but they want like a few grand with my case and my situation. So I was gonna ask maybe if I could get it to 16.
Are you working?
I do work at the port, but it's like I've been hit and miss, and I'm not seniority, so it's like not guaranteed every day, and it's just been really slow the past 2 months. And I can change in 3 weeks. We'll be busy every day and at work.
All right, so what I'll do, thank you for talking to some attorneys like I asked you to do. I am going to have you fill out some paperwork. It looks like you did it while you were in custody, but I'm going to have you do it again. Make sure you fill it out accurately and completely. You'll swear under oath that it's all true, and then I'll take a look at it. You'll step in front of the clerk. Sarah Leday. Good morning, ma'am. Are you Sarah Leday?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get someone hired?
I looked at a lot of lawyers. I know last time I came to court, I had one in Houston,
Yeah.
and he was trying to charge me more. So I actually went to a couple last month. I actually talked to Mr. Robot Thomas, and he told me if I come up, he charged me 10,000, and he said if I come up with 35, he'll go ahead and work the case. I actually came up with like half of the 35. I'm still working on getting the 35. But I have talked to him, and this one really planned on to go with. The only reason why it's taking so long because I'm not working right now. Before this case had started or whatever, I had a baby, and with this being my first time ever being in trouble, I didn't know that this was gonna like hinder where I used to work at. I used to work at the hospital in Elizabeth, and I tried to get back on there, but the thing for me doing whatever that came up on the file, so they told me to get this handled and I get rehired back.
Okay.
So
let's do this. You've been trying. I know you have been. You've told me who all you've talked to. I'm going to have you fill out some paperwork this morning to see if you qualify for a court-appointed lawyer, and then I'll take a look at it after you do it. Make sure you fill it out accurately and completely because you'll swear under oath that it's all true.
Okay.
If you do get one and something changes later, then you can always hire someone later. If you'll step in front of the clerk, she'll give you your that paperwork.
Thank you.
Robin Anderson.
ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am. You're Robin Anderson. And Miss Anderson, it looked like you were here before. You were working with Workforce Solutions to try to get a job, correct?
ma'am.
Did you
I
get a
just-
job?
Yes, ma'am, I just started working.
Where'd you start working?
It's Total-Leigh.
Okay. So do you know how much you're going to be making and what your hours are going to be yet?
Yes, ma'am, she just put me on schedule, so I know my hours and I know how much I'm gonna be getting paid.
Okay. Do you think, based on that, that you'll be able to hire an attorney, or do you think you'll still have some issues with that?
I'm pretty sure I still have some issues with it, due to paying my bond and also I have 3 children, so
You have 3 children.
yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to have you fill out some paperwork this morning to see if you qualify for a court-appointed lawyer. Make sure you fill it out accurately and completely with what your income is, what your bills are. You're going to swear under oath that that's all true and correct. Just step in front of the clerk. She'll give you that paperwork. Jamar Eglin. Good morning, you're Jamar Eglin.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Eglin, you've been here a couple of times. It looks like last time you said you were going to hire Miss Norman. Did you get her hired?
End up sending me to Mr. Linda. I go to him at 3. She forwarded it to Mr. Linda.
Okay.
He took her. I go to him.
Wendell Radford. Is it Mr. Radford?
Linda, Mr. Linda. That's his name right there. I got him at 3. He takes me.
All right. So what I'm going to do is reset your case just for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Well, I'll just do a normal reset. You can try to get him hired. Here's the thing, if it doesn't work out and you're not going to be able to hire him, you'll know soon because you're meeting with him. Don't wait till the last minute to make appointments. I want you to visit with at least 3 others before you come back. Bring me those names. If you do get someone hired, bring that reset notice and they'll tell you what you need to do. All right.
Can I, like, I ain't ready to pay for it, like, can I have a chance to get a,
Yeah, if you talk to some, the thing is you haven't talked to anybody other than Miss Norman. They all charge different amounts. They all have different payment plans. That's why I tell you, you need to talk to at least 3 or more. You'll see that they all have different situations that you might be able to afford. So talk to him. If that doesn't work, then I'm ordering you to talk to at least 3 others. Bring me that information. If you don't, then when you come back, you run the risk of me raising your bond. If you do, and you still can't afford them, then we'll talk about what your options are. Okay? Step in front of the clerk. Shedrick Francis. Shedrick Francis.
No response, Your Honor.
Bond will be forfeited for non-appearance and reset at 100,000. Max White. Good morning, sir. Are you Max White? And Mr. White, this is your initial appearance and cause number 23 DCCR 0940. You're charged with the state jail felony offensive burglary of a building from January 26th of 2023. And since you've made bond on your case, have you had an opportunity to try to hire a lawyer?
No, ma'am, I got a little pressure washing business and because of the drought, and I haven't been working a whole lot. I'm trying to get it going again now.
Okay, so it's great if you have your own business, but if that business is not making it where you can pay your bills, then you need to go try to find another job. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to reset your case for 30 days.
Okay.
Give you some time to do a couple of things. 1, try to hire a lawyer.
Yes, ma'am.
2, if you can't hire a lawyer and that's not working with your business, then you're going to need to start applying to at least 5 jobs a week.
Okay.
Bring me what you've done so I know you're trying, and then we'll discuss what your options
Yes,
are.
ma'am.
If you get a lawyer hired and also talk to several attorneys, you'll see that they all charge different amounts. They have different payment plans. If you hire someone, then bring the reset notice that you get today to that lawyer. They'll tell you what you need to do. If you are unable to hire someone before the next court date, then I'm ordering you to do those other things. If you don't do those things, then when you come back, you run the risk of me raising your bond for not following that court order, and you would have to go back to jail. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, if you'll step in front of the clerk right here, she'll give you a reset notice. Glenn Boudreaux. Good morning, sir. You're Glenn Boudreaux, and you were talking to Mr. Brian Lane. Did you get him hired? Speak up, please. Do you think if I give you 30 more days, you'll be able to get that taken care of? All right, so I'm going to reset your case one more time so you can get that taken care of. Obviously, if you get him hired, bring the reset notice to him. If for some reason it's not going to work out with Mr. Lane, then be sure and talk to at least 3 others. Bring me that information and we'll see where we get from there, okay? All right, step in front of the clerk. She'll give you a reset notice. Eric Smith. All right, sir, you're Eric Smith. So, Mr. Smith, you've been coming to court for some time and had an agreement that I rejected. And so I told you needed to try to hire a lawyer. Did you get someone hired?
Well, I haven't hired, I talked to, Mr. Raquel.
Uh-huh.
And, we're supposed, he said he's gonna be here this morning, but we're supposed to sit down and talk and discuss the papers and all that.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do, Mr. Smith, is reset your case a couple of weeks so that you can have time to do that. He will be here this morning. He's probably going to different courts, but he has some cases set here. If you want to wait and visit with him,
Okay.
I am gonna have you sign a reset notice though, and I need you to try to get him hired before that next court date.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, step in front of the clerk, please. Trevor Cormier. All right, so you're Trevor Cormier.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, did you get Mr. Lane hired?
I'm going to pay him today. I just got the money cleared in my account.
Okay. So we have court next week. That's the week I was supposed to be. All right, so I'm going to reset your case for 2 weeks. If you get them hired, then bring the reset notice. If not, you need to talk to at least 3 other attorneys. Hang on. You've been coming for some time. It's time for you to get them hired. I've given you a whole lot of time. So you need to get that taken care of. If that's not going to work, you need to talk to at least 3 others. You need to bring those names to me so I know you're trying, and we'll discuss what your options are. If you don't, then when you come back, your bond will be raised for not following that court order and you'll go back to jail. Do you understand? All right, step in front of the clerk. Brian. Estonia Delara. Good morning. Are you Estonia Delara?
Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Delara, you were previously here and given some time to try to hire a lawyer. Did you get someone hired?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Who'd you talk to?
I talked to Paul House and he couldn't represent me because he said he was already the court appointed attorney and it would have went against him. And I have a appointment set up with Wilkerson and with Kimball. But I was sick most of the month with COVID again.
Do you have any documentation of that?
No, ma'am.
I'm going to reset your case for 30 days. I want you to do a couple of things. Number one, try to get someone hired. Number two, if you can't, talk to at least 3 lawyers. Don't wait till the last minute. And then the third, anyway, get a lawyer hired before the next court date or visit with at least 3 and bring documentation that you were in fact sick, okay? Step in front of the clerk, please. If anyone else has a phone, make sure it's off. If it's not off, it will be taken by the bailiff. Coy Dodd. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So Dustin, we have the motion to withdraw him, set also that he logged it out completely, so Charlie was in the other 2 cases, so that's why those 2 are on the initial.
And then the third
Is on for motion to withdraw
from that other attorney.
from Galmore.
From
Galmore.
so he got on and now he's filing the show.
Yes.
When's that one set today? Mr. Dodd, why don't you just have a seat until Mr. Galmore gets here, and that way we can kind of take care of all 3 cases at the same time. Ooh, that makes me mad. Chelsea Allen. I think I might be mad. Good morning. Are you Chelsea Allen?
Yes, ma'am.
And Miss Allen, you were previously here and given some time to try to hire a lawyer. Did you get, well, it looks like you've been here a couple times. Did you get someone hired?
No, ma'am.
Who have you talked to?
I've talked to Harvard and Black. And, we were going to try to set up my own number, but it didn't. We don't make enough to say.
Where do you work?
Adele
What deli?
at Shell Station.
Is CPS involved in your
Yes,
case?
ma'am.
Okay.
I miss a lot of work because of that, so it does put my hours back.
All right. So what I'm going to do, Miss Allen, is since you talked to some attorneys, like I asked you to, is have you fill out some paperwork to see if you qualify for a court-appointed lawyer. Make sure you fill it out accurately and completely, what your income is, what your bills are, and you're going to swear that it's all true and correct under oath. And then I'll take a look at it. Step in front of the clerk, please. Kevin Banks. Good morning. Are you Kevin Banks? And Mr. Banks, this is your initial appearance in cause number 23 DCCR 0296. You're charged with the state jail felony offense of publish or threaten to publish intimate visual material from December 29th of 2022. And since you've made bond in your case, have you had an opportunity to try to hire a lawyer? All right. So what I'm going to do is reset your case for about 30 days to give you some time to try to get someone hired. If you do get someone hired before that next court date, bring the reset notice that you get today to that lawyer and they'll tell you what you need to do. If you're unable to hire someone before the next court date, then I'm ordering you to visit with at least 3 lawyers. They all charge different amounts. They have different payment plans. Bring me the names of the lawyers that you've talked to when you come back, so I know you're trying, and then we'll discuss what your options are. If you don't do that, then when you come back, you run the risk of me raising your bond for not following that court order, and you have to go back to jail. Do you understand? All right, step in front of the clerk. She'll give you that reset notice. Chase Bro. Chase Bro.
Okay, bro.
This bond will be forfeited for non-appearance and reset at 100,000. Adam Casey. Good morning. Are you Adam Casey? And Mr. Casey, did you get someone hired?
Been talking to people and, I don't know if we can afford them. I've been saving up money to see if we can get them at a retainer fee.
Who'd you talk to?
I talked to Parker, talked to Summer, and I talked to Brian Fagan.
Okay. Where do you work?
I work at Associated Marine Services over Deckham.
Okay. How many hours a week do you work?
Usually about 40, but I do have CPS in my life, but so we still have to have classes and things of that nature, so. that's
Well,
down.
at this point, I mean, here's the thing. I understand that y'all are together,
Yes, ma'am.
right? But your cases are separate as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, ma'am.
So it sounds like you probably have a better job and have more income.
Yes,
And I
ma'am.
know y'all have household bills. You need to try to get someone hired, at least for you.
Yes,
And then if I have to do a court appointed for her, that's different, right? So I want you to try to get someone hired, at least for one of you. And then we'll discuss what the options are for the other.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you need to step in front of the clerk, I'm gonna give you 30 days to get that done.
Yes, ma'am.
Emmett Keller. Emmett Keller.
Someone called and said he was in the hospital.
Okay,
And I told them they need to send documentation to their bond.
okay.
That's fine, Shannon. He did state earlier that he's in the hospital, she needs to do paperwork for you.
Right, so I'm gonna forfeit his bond for non-appearance and reset it at 100,000. If we get that paperwork from the bondsman or from him, then I'll recall that bond forfeiture. Kalisha Knight. So this one has that note that she was sitting in Judge Stevens. I wonder if I actually went through this.
I don't think so.
I don't think I did. We just,
I'm remembering.
you're Kalisha Knight.
Yes, ma'am.
So Miss Knight, you were here before, but you were sitting in the wrong courtroom, right? So you didn't ever come in here and us have a conversation. All right. So for your initial appearance, you are charged in cause number 23 DCCR 1102. You're charged with the state jail felony offense of theft of property from January 11th of 2023. And since you've made bond in your case, have you had an opportunity to try to hire a lawyer?
I'm waiting actually.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'll reset your case for 30 days. And that'll give you some time to try to hire him or anyone else. If you get someone hired before the next court date, just bring the reset notice that you get today to that lawyer and they'll tell you what you need to do. If you're unable to hire someone before the next court date, then I'm ordering you to visit with at least 3 lawyers. They all charge different amounts, they have different payment plans. Bring me the names of the lawyers you've talked to so that I know you're trying, and then we'll discuss what your options are. If you don't do that, then when you come back, you run the risk of me raising your bond for not following that court order, and you would have to go back to jail. Do you understand? Step in front of the clerk. She'll give you a reset notice. Nicholas Parr. Good morning, sir. You're Nicholas Parr.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Parr, you've been here a couple of times and given some time to try to hire a lawyer. Did you get someone hired?
No, ma'am, but I'm in the process of talking to a couple of lawyers to find another job. That's where I'm working now.
Okay, who have you talked to? What lawyers?
I don't remember the names. I talked to them earlier in the month and I've been busy.
Okay, but you've been here 3 times and I've given you the same instructions each time, right?
Yes,
Talk
ma'am.
to lawyers, bring me the names of those lawyers when you come back.
Yes, ma'am.
So why wouldn't you do that?
I didn't write them down. I didn't written them down. Just like I did the first time. I had them written down, saved my phone. I didn't write them down this time. It's my fault.
Well, but it's your fault every time.
Yes, ma'am, I know.
Where are you working?
Johnson's upholstery in the middle of Silsby.
Do you,
I get paid every 2 weeks and I'm making probably about 600 every 2 weeks right now.
all right, here's what we're gonna do. Resetting your case 2 weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
You need to either get someone hired within that 2 weeks. You need to bring me the actual names of those you've talked to. If you don't, and you need to bring a pay stub.
Yes, ma'am.
If you don't do all of those things, or if you, then you're gonna get your bond raised and you will go back to jail. This is the last time. Do you understand? Step in front of the clerk. She'll give you a reset notice. Beretta, read them. Good morning, Miss Rita. Did you get someone hired?
No, but close. The finance that I'm supposed to go through for my job, so it's not for. But HR emailed me Friday evening and said that I can try again. I just have multiple options. I didn't know. I thought you had just stick with one attorney once they represent somebody for you.
Mhm.
But she said I had multiple options. I also reached out to, Dunham and Law in Houston. They just left me a voicemail before I walked in here, so I'm calling that. The Alpha Firm in Houston had a consultation on the 2nd at 10 o'clock. And also William Ferguson, they are gonna confirm the date and time of this week. I spoke to them earlier on here.
Okay. Why are you just making all of these appointments when you had 30 days?
I didn't just make the appointments. The recruiter just called me back. The
Okay.
Alpha Firm just, their secretary literally called me on Friday morning and said it for the
Okay.
2nd. So I've been trying for
You've been trying for a long time.
a long
I know.
time.
So here's what I'm gonna do. Unless you really think you can afford one of them, then I'm going to appoint an attorney this morning. Do you think you are gonna be able to afford anyone? Those that you
Yeah.
are waiting on?
I can try.
Do you want me to go ahead and appoint someone?
Could I try to see if I can get?
This will be the last time. And I want you to hire your own attorney, right? But we also, your
Right.
case is
Mhm.
over a year old. And so it's time for us to be moving on your case. So if
Right.
you can't hire any of those that you've talked to before the next court date, then I'll appoint someone. And then later on, if you can hire someone and they can substitute in for that attorney, that's fine. Otherwise, we'll get someone on your case next court date.
Okay,
Okay?
okay,
Step in front of the clerk.
okay, thank you.
Diana Rogers or Diane Rogers? Good morning, Ms. Rogers. Did you get Mr. Macon hired?
Actually, I've changed. I want to hire, I am hiring Dustin Gellman
Okay. When are you gonna get that done?
this week.
Okay, so I'm gonna reset your case for 2 weeks.
Okay.
If you get him hired, obviously before that court date, bring the reset notice to him and he will tell you what you need to do and maybe get that court date moved. If not, then you need to visit with at least 3 lawyers. Bring me those names when you come back. Obviously, we've talked about it. If you don't, then you run the risk of me raising your bond. All right, step in front of the clerk. She'll give you that reset notice. Tom Simpson. Tom Simpson. Good morning, you're Tom Simpson. Mr. Simpson, did you get a job? All right. The app for, are you looking are you looking anywhere else other than through? Okay. Thank you for bring in all of this. I'm going to let you fill out some paperwork this morning to see if you qualify for a court-appointed lawyer since you've done what I've asked you to do. If you'll step in front of the clerk, she'll give you that paperwork. Make sure you fill it out accurately and completely. You're going to swear under oath that it's all true, and then I'll take a look at it. All right, step in front of the clerk. Okay. Gabriel Smith. Gabriel Smith. George. She had an excuse last time, too. She had an excuse last time. Bond will be forfeited for non-appearance and reset at 100,000. If she gets here, just let us know. She said she's running late, but she said that last time. Yeah, all right. Who do we have? Yeah, I'm gonna wait until he gets here, but I'm gonna make a note on that one. I want to, because I'm gonna probably forfeit it unless she gets some documentation.
She sent something.
Oh, she did.
She did send something to Bond.
She does. Okay. We're gonna reset. Javon, let's see, Mr. Coleman. Javon Johnson, Mr. Adams' case is going to be reset. Javon, we have notification that, or documentation that Johnson's sick. Okay, and then who else? Yeah. I've got on Mark Segur, that's Mr. Coleman's case. It's set for pretrial with Mr. Burbank. Mr. Burbank is not going to be here. Mr. Burbank's announced, it says he is set, specially set in the 136. Who's 136? Is that orange? Oh, that's. Yeah, that is, so no, that doesn't, that he didn't get to say especially set in civil case. So but he says ready. So what is Mr. Coleman's announcement? No, this is on Mark Segur. All right, then that case will get numbered and we'll let Mr. Burbank know tomorrow so that he can I mean, it's not one of the older ones, but still. And then who else?
I was wishing Mr. Coleman would be here.
Oh, did you, Segur, were they supposed to be here?
I think I did.
What was the first name? Mark Segur. To call the name Mark Segur, please. That they didn't have to be here.
No. They did not have to be. I'm sorry, Judge. I just told you that. I'm sorry. I told you not to be.
So the defendant doesn't have to be.
Okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
He said if Bonham happens to show up, she needs to call him. Elected if she shows up, but I told them they do not have to be here.
Okay. Mr. Matuska's case on Quanah Bonham, that's also set for pretrial with Mr. Coleman. Mr. Matuska, is Quanah Bonham here? Quanah Bonham? Okay,
That's his note,
okay.
but I also see that.
His announcement is that he feels like we're gonna get it worked out somehow. So,
Okay, I just didn't want to.
okay.
Former before.
So,
I had a chance to
Ms.
see it.
Bonham, your case is set for trial next week. I need you to call Mr. Matuska's office. He's out this morning. But I'm going to number the case, but if you guys get something worked out, if you'll let Mr. Coleman, is he gonna be here this week?
He's just in federal court this morning.
Okay,
Next week.
the 13th is a Monday. Oh, yeah, 2 weeks. I'm sorry. You're right.
So we'll certainly have an answer for you.
Between now and then, if something gets worked out, then obviously I'll be around next week now. We can get you guys back in here if there's something that y'all get worked out. If not, then either way, call and get with Mr. Matuska this week so that I can know, and we'll let Mr. Matuska know. All right, thank you. Okay. That they will be here. Tamika Charles and Gregory Coleman. So what's the announcement on Gregory Coleman?
I don't know. I told her she called this morning. I told her.
No, I just got a text from Mr. Smith's assistant. I think they're filing a motion for continuance in Gregory Coleman's case. They didn't say whether or not they'd be here.
Well, he can't be here this morning. And so I was is Tamika Charles, if you call the name Tamika Charles, and Gregory Coleman, please. Mr. Coleman, thank you for being here. Mr. Smith is unable to be here this morning. Stay in touch with him. Your case is set for trial to begin with jury selection in 2 weeks. So we need to figure out what's going on in that. So call his office and then he'll let you know what's going on, okay? And Miss Charles will handle your sentencing. We're going to reset your case probably for about 30 days or so. Stay in touch with Mr. Smith and he'll let you know when you need to be back, okay? Thank you. Yes, y'all are free to go.
He was on.
Yeah, Mr. Segura, stay in touch with Mr. Burbank's office because your case is set for trial to begin on the 13th and he's in another court this morning. But I'm going to number your case, so you need to get with this office so that you know when you need to be back on the 13th, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
I had already just that Warren, but he's ill also, and he has.
Leonard Guillory. That's also Mr. Coleman's, and Mr. West is unable to be here this morning. We're going to reset it. Mr. Guillory, Mr. West is unable to be here this morning, so I'm going to reset your case. Contact his office. They'll let you know when you need to be back. Thank you, sir. Mr. Francis. Francis, it looks like you were late last time. Or you missed a court date sometime. Anyway, I took care of that. I called your case this morning and you weren't here on time. It's very important that you come to court on time. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to recall that bond forfeiture. And so did you get a lawyer hired since that last court date?
No,
I found a couple of them, but a lot of them really want like 2,500, 4,000. I did find Mr. Parker. He was like the cheapest one. That I'm gonna go with. I'm just paying a lot of child support in the business. I'm asking him to please have us a little more time to pay him. He said he would represent him, but I have to pay.
Sure, you got to get that down payment. All right, so no, sir. Thank you for doing what I asked you to do. I'm going to reset your case for 30 days. All right, so if you can get him hired between now and that 30 days, that's great. Bring the reset notice that you get. If for some reason that's not going to work out, then you need to talk to at least 3 other attorneys. You can tell from talking to them all that they all charge different amounts.
Yes.
They have different payment plans. Bring me the names of those you've talked to if you don't get him hired, okay?
Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna go.
All right, step in front of the clerk and she right here, she'll give you that reset notice. Yes, sir. Kimberly Bertrand, so judicial review is the,
There's 2 Kimberly Berkshires on the document.
Kimberly Michelle, okay, wait.
One is Kimberly M, one's Kimberly B. Two people answered today.
I need Kimberly Michelle. Good morning, you're Kimberly Bertrand.
Yes.
Ms. Bertrand, before I start asking you some questions, raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're going to give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, put your hand down. So, Ms. Bertrand, you're here because Ms. Hernandez asked me to have a judicial review, which I think is probably extremely generous that she asked me in an administrative hearing to have a judicial review instead of filing a motion to revoke your probation. I'm not really sure why she did that, but she did. And so I need to know today how things have been going and what is taking place. Because it appears to me that you are refusing to follow any of the rules that you're supposed to be following. You have the portable monitoring device?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Any issues with that
Not
since?
since she got it recalibrated and turned back on September 27th.
Mhm.
I took over her case the end of July.
Okay.
So that is why, this is happening at this point.
Okay.
She is in compliance as of today.
All right. So are you back in JCDI or no?
Yes, so she signed her contract back in July, beginning of July, she signed her contract. She signed it on the 11th. She did have a positive on the 13th. That was before I took over her case. She did not have her portable device on at that point. But she was attending groups. Now, she also had another positive for alcohol in September, along with she was driving a vehicle without an interlock device. She is very aware of everything that's going on right now. Now, she was not employed up until tomorrow. She is scheduled to start a job. So I'm trying to highlight what she does have going on today. She does have a job that she's starting tomorrow, which she has not been employed for almost 2 years. She is attending her groups that she's required to attend in JCDI. She has been working with her sponsor. What we're asking is that she be placed on zero tolerance.
Oh, yeah.
And also do a weekend in jail. And as long as she can stay compliant, then she can continue in JCDI. Now, if she has any violations to the point that her portable device gets put in lockout again, she misses any groups, any UAs, we will be back here to sign the safety paperwork.
Well,
Or a
or
motion
you're gonna
to
be
revoke.
back here going to prison is what you're gonna be back here. You've already had the option. So here's the thing. You are getting all the opportunities in the world plus some. Okay, you've already had a motion to revoke your probation. I've already left you on probation. You're on probation for driving while intoxicated with a child. You're driving with alcohol in your system again. So there's no safe P after this. If you end up back in court because you have violated a single one thing, doesn't matter what it is, one thing on your probation, you're going to prison. If you need safety, then you need to go talk to probation right now, and y'all need to make that agreement before you violate. Do you understand? Safety is off the table unless you do it before a violation. If you violate, I will not accept that safety is appropriate. So it's time for you to either understand that you need more help and that you do that for yourself, even though it seems difficult and nobody wants to go and be away from their people or their family or their children and go into custody for treatment. But the other option to that is a 2-year sentence in prison that you agreed to back when you first got this. So it's either 6 months in safety if you can't follow through with everything in JCDI and do everything correctly, or it's 2 years in prison. It's just that simple, right? Do you understand? Is that crystal clear? Because there will be no negotiations. I'm telling the DA, everybody right now, no negotiations. If you come back in here and you have violated, you will be going to prison for 2 years. Okay? All right. I hope you do well. It sounds like you're getting back on the same track, but the problem is it sounds like you're getting back on the same track because you're scared because you knew you had to come to court. So now you need to be scared because you know you're going to go to prison. Whatever it takes for you to do right for yourself and your family is what you need to do. But it's time for you to get that done. Okay? All right. You can go. Thank you. Matthew Tompkins, I know, Dylan Tompkins with Mr. Rennick, this Miss Malfino. Mr. Rennick is ill. He called this morning. Is there a Dylan Tompkins? Mr. Tompkins, Mr. Rennick is ill and unable to be here this morning. We're going to reset your case. Stay in touch with his office and your bondsman. They'll let you know when you need to be back. You're free to go. Thank you. See, Mr. Frank Adams on Stephen Hayes, cause numbers 23 DCCR 0448, 0449, and 0450.
He's here, Your Honor.
Ms. Zelesniak.
How you pronounce her last name?
Zelesniak.
Zelesniak.
Good morning. Are you Stephen Hayes?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Adams, what is the announcement?
I've just gotten the discovery. I still don't have the audio and video stuff. There's 3 or 4 things. I'm not real sure. But I'd like some time to talk to them. I just got on this about a month ago.
Right.
And just got discovery a week or so ago.
Okay.
I brought him some today.
There, guardhouse.
There is, yes. Yes, there is.
All right. So what I'll do, I'll reset it for about 30 days. Obviously, one of those things, if it's a Garth house, then you'll have to make an appointment
To go over
to
there.
go over
Okay.
there with your client. They'll get that set up for you so that you guys can get that taken care of before that next court date. And then we'll see if we can get an announcement.
Oh, okay, and you have to go there. Or call
Yeah,
Garth
the
House.
Garth house isn't gonna, well, no, you can't call the Garth house. You have to go through.
Sure, okay, and you'll get it.
Yep. All right. Y'all, Mr. Hayes, you stay in touch with Mr. Adams because you guys will hopefully have an appointment sometime this month to come to the district attorney's office, view what evidence she's unable to give him in person. And then we'll see if we can get an announcement at the next court date. All right. Thank you. You're free to go. See, is there a Mr. Akinbola on Cheryl Doyle, cause number 33236? Okay, I will sign that as soon as it comes through. Is Miss Doyle here?
She is, I think she was the misdemeanor court, but she's in the building.
Okay, she's free to go once that's taken care of. Thank you. And let's see, Mr. Cole, Giles Cole. Doyle. Mr. Galmore. Maybe I should just look around first, right? Mr. Kelly on Luis Juarez, cause number 23 DCCR 0596.
Judge, would you mind holding for a minute so I can speak with this once?
Yes, sir. Mr. Kevin Lane?
Yes, Your Honor.
On Michael Holmes, cause number 36720.
He's present now.
Michael Holmes. Okay. Okay. Are you still, and you're still satisfied with
I am.
going forward this way? Should I do that ahead?
She's okay with doing it as a victim impact statement. And I believe you've received the letter that she wrote. It's attached to my copy of the PSI.
Yes, I did.
She's got something else for me.
All right, sir, you, Michael Holmes. And, sir, you can go have a seat until he's ready. Thank you. Mr. Holmes was previously in court, entered a plea of guilty to the second-degree felony offense of sexual assault. Received a copy of the pre-sentence report as well as a copy of the letter from the victim in the case, and also some information regarding Mr. Holmes' medical condition from Mr. Lane. Has everyone had an opportunity to review all of that? Mr. Lane?
The fence has it.
Yes, sir.
Are there any additions or corrections?
None from the fence.
Ms. Lesniak?
From the state, just, I did want to let the court know that Ms. Vance wants, or Ms. Williams is here.
Okay, and it's my understanding that Ms. Williams obviously would like to make a victim impact statement. Other than that, is there any evidence before I move forward with sentencing?
Nothing from the fence.
All right, honestly, I'm not a doctor, and so it appears that most of this has to do with heart issue, correct?
Yes, sure.
And something with the lumbar spine as well.
And it looks to me, Your Honor, that some of that documentation is from, some of it is from like earlier, I feel like this month, and then some of it was from much longer ago.
Right.
He was in a, in a, like a program about a heart valve that he has that.
Like the diagnostic from the lumbar thing, that's from 2017. Am I?
Yes, Your Honor, and I know it was his PSA levels were 8.8, and I think, and it's possibly might have to have a surgery on his prostate. I think they're going to biopsy. That's one of the latest.
So here's my issue. I mean, well, a couple of things. Number one, I understand the issue that that Miss Antoine has with the plea agreement. And so I understand that and have looked at the letter, and I also, and I think I said this before about Ms. Lesniak, and completely 100% trust in her valuation of the case and of the situation. And so I am going to follow the agreement, and that's why, because I have complete trust in Ms. Lesniak. I know she's visited with Ms. Antoine probably on numerous occasions about this and why this type of agreement would be reached. It's my understanding that the agreement is for the 5-year deferred, the $2,500 fine, and then it was unagreed as to upfront jail time, correct?
Yes.
All right.
That's correct.
So then, obviously, I think, Mr. Lane, your argument with regard to that is going to be health issues, correct?
I am, Your Honor. It's another alternative. There is house arrest as well. And I know it could be highly burdensome to the county, and I know that's not a main concern.
Mrs. Lesniak, what's the state's position?
It's really important to Ms. Antoine that Mr. Holmes spends some time in jail. She, I think, stated it quite clearly to me, at least once, that because of his actions, she's basically been imprisoned in her mind for quite some time, certainly since this has happened, and she would like to see him go to jail.
Anything else before I sentence Mr. Holmes?
None from the defense.
No, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Holmes, I'm going to find that you previously entered your plea of guilty freely and voluntarily. I'm going to follow the agreement, and I'm going to defer all proceedings and place you on probation for a period of 5 years. You will be ordered to pay a $2,500 fine, follow all of the rules and conditions of probation. I am going to order 180 days upfront time. That is the maximum amount of upfront time that I can get. And I am going to do that on behalf of Miss Antoine. I think that's important. Understand you have health issues. If the jail has any issues with that, they will let me know, and we'll do what we have to do, obviously, to make sure that there's no issues with regard to that. But as far as I'm concerned, you can go spend 180 days in jail, and they'll take care of you the best they can. You will. So what this means is that obviously, while you're on this probation, you have to follow all of the rules and conditions. And if you do that, then at the end of the probation period, the case actually will be dismissed and you won't have a conviction on your record. The other side of that, however, is if you violate any condition of probation at all, you will be back here in court. Obviously, this is one of the cases that I will not forget. I know Miss Antoine's position, and the reason I'm going to follow the agreement with regard to the type of probation, which is a deferred probation, is not for your benefit. All right. That is for my benefit and for the victim's benefit, because if you violate, what that does is it gives me the whole range of punishment, which is up to 20 years in prison, which in all likelihood would mean you would spend the rest of your life in prison if you violate this probation. And so that's why I'm accepting the plea agreement, is because it gives me more if you violate than it would if you were on a convicted or a straight probation. I am handing you the trial court certification that shows this was an agreement. I followed the agreement, so you cannot appeal or change your mind. And Mr. Lane, if y'all will just kind of step over, and if you'll get Mr. Holmes and have him over there. Miss Antoine. Just reset it 2 weeks. Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Yes, ma'am, that's perfectly fine.
October 30th, judgment is here. If it pleases God and he pleases the court, I would like to speak for myself and all the victims who have been portrayed throughout the system because of power and injustice and selfishness, bitterness, and ranks have all hurt, destroyed, misused, and abused, neglect the system of us all, thrown aside our case of truth when we have never had a voice ever since we were little girls and boys. We have always been denied our soul of beauty, of self-worth, our freedom of speech, being a victim to a monster who has been chasing us for centuries. I come today to break all the chains off of our hearts, to be free to speak of how we have felt with the anguish, nightmares, haunted me, the bitterness of long suffering and no justification, and being looked at as poor voices and people, which made some of us pick the wrong things in our life because of what we've experienced. Even though we did not ask for these things, but yet it has come upon us to face something that we never thought would be our cup to drink in history. It is a very bitter cup. And the reason why I'm standing here is because I have a very bitter taste in my mouth. And it will forever be in my mouth until the day God rises and begins to wipe out all the monsters that chase little girls and boys from fulfilling their future of happiness and self-worth. I am so hurt, angry, confused, numb, sad, and today I am myself free. I, Tamisha Savone Williams, free from all those who work in the background to keep my and my others' truth from being told by hiding evidence, let the monsters stay free while we hide inside, fearful of what could happen if we told the facts. So we became victims of this world all over again of freedom because I and they were afraid of the monster finding us again. The ones who hid the evidence and played part of me and my family running and hiding for our lives. I am not the only one who feels this pain and the anguish. The others don't have a voice or a say, so I speak for them I speak for me and them. Forgiveness is the key of long suffering, and my forgiveness is me forgiving myself.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Holmes, you can go back with the bailiff. Mr. Lane, you also have a Lloyd Jones, cause number 23 DCCR 1023.
Modify conditions. of bail.
Okay. 1023. See, sir, are you Lloyd Jones? And Mr. Jones is charged with the second-degree felony offense of intoxication manslaughter. Mr. Lane has filed a motion to modify the conditions of bail. The current conditions require Mr. Jones to wear a GPS monitoring device as well as a drug patch. And so Mr. Jones is already on probation, felony, and is he in JCDI?
Yes, ma'am.
And has he had any positive drug screens in JCDI?
No, not recently, he has not.
I mean, I'm inclined, I'm not going to take the drug patch, I don't think off. I am inclined possibly to remove the GPS monitoring device as long as he's showing up to everything he's supposed to and
Yes,
hasn't
yes.
missed
And
anything.
he also has an admission interlock for another case, so he has 3 devices.
Okay, so any issue with that? What other
May I
case?
just inquire real quick, so sorry, I just misunderstood. So he's on probation for the possession charge, not the intoxication.
Correct.
Okay.
And so that's where the drug patch probably comes in.
Yes, sure.
That's going to remain. I'm not going to modify that. But Ms. Malvina, what's your position?
And I certainly will defer to your honor, but my only position is that due to the nature of the offense that he committed while on probation, obviously that gives me some hesitation.
Well, actually, the offense date was July 2021, and it took a couple of years to indict. And I think they're going to say not because of alcohol, but because of another narcotic, and that was the reason for so he was not on probation when this offense was allegedly committed.
Correct, okay.
Right.
And as a condition, I think the first recommendation of probation when he got the possession was that he go to Safe P, and they said instead of Safe P, go to JCDI, which I think he graduates in February. We were just asking for the GPS because of the monetary.
Right. So you've got an auto ignition interlock device and you're wearing the drug patch, correct? Okay. All right. So I'll grant it with regard to the GPS monitoring device only. Everything else on bond and obviously probation conditions remains the same other than the removal of the GPS monitoring device. And we'll reset the case for an announcement.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And then, Mr. Lane, you have Dakota Kuhn,
He's present.
cause number 23 DCCR 0968. All right, so are you Dakota Kuhn? And Mr. Kuhn is charged with a 3rd-degree felony offense of assault, family violence, impeding breath or circulation from June 24th of 2023. And Mr. Lane, what is the announcement?
Your Honor, we're asking for one more announcement. I've received an offer. I've received the videos. I've watched the videos. He has not. It could even be a short period of time, Your Honor, if you'd like.
All right, we'll just do any issues, Mr. Smith? So I'll just reset one more normal reset. That should give you plenty of time to go over everything with Mr. Kuhn, and so we can get an announcement at that next court date. Make sure you make an appointment to go visit with Mr. Lane so you can go over everything and all of the evidence. And when we get back, we'll know which direction your case is going to take. All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lane. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. See, Mr. Roebuck?
Yes, ma'am.
On Randolph Stanley, cause numbers 39986 and 39987. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Me?
Little red car.
Was I would never.
No.
I really don't think I did, but I might have.
Maybe.
Good morning, sir. Are you Randolph Lee Stanley?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Stanley's cases are each set for trial to begin with jury selection on Monday, the 13th. And what is the announcement?
You ready?
We're ready, Your Honor, and I believe you filed yesterday, motion to consolidate.
Okay, so what I'll do is number the cases for trial tomorrow after the jail docket. And so, Mr. Stanley, make sure you stay in touch with Mr. Roebuck tomorrow afternoon. He'll know what the trial order is and when you need to be back on the 13th. It looks like there was a previous offer that was rejected back in January that was a cap of 10 years. And I want to make sure there hasn't been any change in offers or negotiations that we need to talk about today, because there won't be any plea agreements accepted after today. Nope. All right. So, Mr. Stanley, I just want to make sure you understand, if you change your mind between now and the 13th, you can still enter a plea of guilty, but it would just be open to me and there wouldn't be that cap of 10 years. Do you understand? Okay, then again, stay in touch with Mr. Roebuck and we'll let you know when you need to be back on the 13th. Chelsea Allen. Edwin Sarabia, cause number 23 DCCR 0265.
Tell you what, Mr. Smith is so happy that Tommy's home to do that.
Yeah.
Takes a little pressure off of me.
Ah.
I'm not the harsh one anymore.
Edwin Sarabia, I have it. It's actually, it was sitting right here. Sorry.
I gave it to you.
You gave it to me. But you've done a lot since then.
Yeah.
Good morning. Are you Edwin Sarabia? And will your client waive the formal reading of the indictment?
You will, Your Honor.
Mr. Sarabia, you're charged with the third-degree felony offense of the terroristic threat. It's a lot of
Yeah.
imposing maybe a public servant or public, what's the actual charge?
The place, public is substantial.
So let me just go through it this way. You're charged with the third-degree felony offense of a terroristic threat in a public place. It looks like, namely, by threatening to commit an offense involving violence to a person or property, with the intent to interrupt and prevent the use of occupation of a building, namely Hooters. And how do you plead to that charge? Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily? And are you pleading guilty because you actually did what they charged you with?
Yes, ma'am.
I have here on the computer some documents that have your signature on them that the state has marked as exhibit number 1. Before you signed these, did you go over them with Mr. Parker?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you fully understand them?
Yes.
And do you understand, if I follow the agreement that you've made with the district attorney, that you'll be waiving or giving up any right to appeal?
Yes, ma'am.
And my understanding of your agreement is that you would receive a 5-year deferred adjudicated probation. There would be a $500 fine, and you would be required to follow all of the rules and conditions of probation. Is that your understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you also understand, if you're not a U.S. citizen, that a plea of guilty or no contest may result in your deportation, exclusion from admission to the country, or denial of naturalization under federal law?
Yes, ma'am.
State tenders number 1.
No objection.
It's admitted. Any evidence that Mr. Sarabia is not competent?
No, Your Honor.
All right, sir, I'm going to find that you entered your plea of guilty freely and voluntarily. Find that you're mentally competent and you understand the nature and the consequences of that plea.
Yes, ma'am.
Find sufficient evidence to find you guilty. However, I'm going to reset your case so that the probation department can do a pre-sentence report. That'll give me more information about you and your case, and then we will come back at a later date for sentencing. You need to stop and talk to probation before you leave the courtroom, and she's sitting at that desk right there.
I have a question. Is the probation nearby?
I'll-
Is it in the same
she'll
building?
take
It's in a different building, but it's not far. She'll give you all of that information where you need to go.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I only have one other one, Mr. Rodriguez, and I'm gonna need to ask for a little more time on this.
Braden Rodriguez, cause number 41421.
Challenged.
Okay.
He did.
Oh, yeah, I know. Good morning, you're Braden Rodriguez.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Parker. So you need some more time?
Yeah, I need a little more time, Judge. He did come in my office as you instructed him. He's very young. I've had to explain to his mom, she's trying to take control, that's important, but he came in with his godfather, and there's some things I need to talk to the
Hey,
prosecutor about.
guys, Mr. Kindler, Mr. Galmore, if y'all are talking to the DAs, that's fine, but there's too much going on. Go ahead.
I just need a little more time to talk to the
Okay.
prosecutor about some of the things going on and see if we can get something worked
Sure.
out.
So, Mr. Rodriguez, I'm going to reset your case. Stay in touch with Mr. Parker. He'll let you know when you need to be back, so y'all can visit also again before you come back, okay? Thanks. You're free to go. Mr. Morian, cause number 23 DCCR 0922 on Earl Pilgrim.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, how are you?
Good. Thanks for your patience this morning.
No problem. Judge, I've got Mr. Pilgrim right outside the door.
They'll get him
right now, yes, ma'am. Mr. Pilgrim?
Good morning, sir. You're Earl Pilgrim, and Mr. Pilgrim is charged with the third-degree felony offense of unlawful possession of a firearm by felon. And Mr. Morgan, what is the announcement?
We're gonna request a trial setting. We're gonna reject the plea offer. They offered a 6-year cap open plea.
Would you mind filling out either on the tablet or there's a Ms. Holmes, will you show him? There's an actual plea bargain rejection. If y'all will sign off on that, I'll get you right back up here and go through it all.
Okay, great. Thank you, Judge.
Thanks. I'll hold it. Thank you, Ms. Holmes. Let's see. Did we get Mr. Cole? Giles Cole. Mr. Doyle on Kimberly Bertrand.
We're gonna do it this morning, but I'm not.
Okay, I'll hold it while you get that ready. Mr. Galmore on Jared Devine, cause number 23 DCCR 1407.
Probably outside.
They'll get there, should be. Good morning, sir. Are you Jared Devine? And Mr. Devine's charged with the third-degree felony offense of driving while intoxicated, third or more. Mr. Galmore, what's the announcement?
Judge, we are still collecting the evidence, have not had him come in to watch videos yet, so we can go to the house today.
All right, any issues? Do you have an auto ignition interlock device as a condition of your bond? Okay. All right, we'll just do a normal reset. Stay in touch with Mr. Galmore so you can make an appointment, go visit with him, go over all the evidence, and we'll see if we can get an announcement at the next court. Thank you. And then Coy Dodd, cause number 41450, Mr. Galmore. Yeah. Yeah. All right, you're Coy Dodd. So, Mr. Dodd, Mr. Galmore signed on to represent you in one case, cause number 41450. And then we had two other cases, and there's a motion to withdraw, and I don't understand, I guess, what the.
So just one case number on the motion to withdraw?
Mhm.
Okay, so I can give the court a history of what happened here.
Well, here, we'll go ahead.
Okay. I filed a writ of habeas corpus on one case. The bond was high on that one case. There was a question of whether we can move forward on a hearing on that because I did not file a letter of rep on that particular case. At some period of time later, though, a hearing was set. And so we had a hearing on the writ of habeas corpus on that one cause number. It was denied. At a later time, the state filed a motion to raise bonds on all of those cases. Me and the court appointed attorney were here that day because I didn't receive notice of that. The court raised bonds. At some period of time later, Mr. Dodd bonded out. I've had a meeting with Mr. Dodd. We've talked about the fact that I'm not going to represent him on this particular case. We're in agreement on that. And so I filed a motion to withdraw on that one particular case. It was never on the other cases in action, never did a motion to sub or a motion, letter of representation on the case.
Well, if you file a motion, you're the lawyer. So it's that simple. Whether you file a letter of representation or not, you're on a case. If you file a motion, you are the attorney of record.
So I filed a motion to withdraw.
But here's what we're not going to get in the habit of. I'm not going to allow attorneys to start coming in, filing motions to decrease bond or for writs, either one, take care of those for the client and then file a motion to withdraw. It's never been allowed. Once you're on the case, you're on the case. That's not going to be good cause to get off the case. And so I guess I want to make that clear because I think that's kind of goes against what has always been done. There's not really a rule for that, but if you file a motion, then you are the attorney. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to file a motion. And so that's just kind of an end around of saying, I want to just get a bond reduction and then I'm off. And we're not going to do those kind of end arounds. I'm not going to allow that. So Mr. Dodd has obviously made significant bonds in all of the cases. And Mr. Dodd, I expect you to hire a lawyer in all three of your cases. Have you talked to attorneys about hiring someone in all three of your cases?
Yes, ma'am. I'm just gonna Bruce called, but I was just gonna I'm working right now. Well, I go to ISTC tomorrow to check my badge.
Okay.
So I've been looking for jobs on it, but I was just trying to find a lawyer my first friend.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to allow at this time. I want to make sure I think I've made myself as clear as I possibly can about anything future like this. So Mr. Dodd, what I'm going to do is allow Mr. Galmore to withdraw from that one case. You need to get someone on all three cases.
Yes,
here's how this is going to happen. So I'm going to reset your case for about 30 days to give you some time to see if you can get someone hired. If you get someone hired before the next court date, then bring the reset notice with you to that lawyer. They'll tell you what you need to do. If you're unable to afford to hire someone on all of your cases, then I'm ordering you to visit with at least 3 lawyers. They all charge different amounts. They have different payment plans. Bring me the names of the lawyers that you've talked to when you come back, so I know you've tried, and then we'll discuss what your options are. Also, when you come back, bring a pay stub so that if we want to see if you qualify for a court-appointed lawyer, possibly, I'll have that documentation when you come back. Do you understand?
So let's say if I get the job.
Yes, sir. Okay. And if you don't get the job, then you need to be applying for at least 5 jobs a week. Okay, good. So make sure you do all of that. Bring me that documentation when you come back. The more you bring me, the better. And then we'll discuss what your options are. If you don't do that, then when you come back, you run the risk of me raising your bond for not following that court order. Do you understand? All right. Thank you, sir. If you'll step here in front of the clerk, she'll give you a reset notice so you'll know when to come back. Gertz. Mr. Morian, did y'all get that taken care of? Oh, sorry, it's right here. So I'll recall Earl Pilgrim, cause number 23, DCCR 0922. Okay, so again, you're Earl Pilgrim. And Mr. Pilgrim, you are charged with the 3rd-degree felony offense of unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon from January 3rd of 2023. The indictment alleges you were previously convicted of burglary of a habitation, 2nd-degree felony, September 25th of 2001. And I believe what that means is that if you go to trial and are found guilty and that prior offense was true, you would actually be looking at a 2nd-degree felony offense for punishment, which means your punishment range would be between 2 years and up to 20 years in prison. Do you understand? And I have a plea bargain rejection that you have signed with Mr. Morian that shows that the state has made an offer of, if you wanted to enter a plea of guilty, for a cap of 6 years in the institutional division. And what that means is that you would leave your punishment up to me. but could not give you more than 6 years. I could give you 6 years. I could give you less. It would depend on the information and the evidence that was brought to me when we came back for a sentencing hearing. You have every right to reject that offer and have your case set for trial. I just want to make sure you understand what your possible consequences are if you go to trial and what your options are if you wanted to enter a plea. Do you understand? And with everyone's permission, I am going to mark that I admonished him to the 2nd-degree felony range on that plea bargain rejection. So you want to reject that offer and have your case set for trial. I do want to make sure also everyone understands, unless there is some new information, new evidence that comes forward, that after today, I will not accept this plea agreement. So if you change your mind and you want to enter a plea later, it would either be open completely to me or some different plea agreement. Do you understand? All right, we'll get it set on the trial docket and Mr. Boyan will begin
Judge,
preparation.
Mr. Morning got with me last week about some discovery questions he had. I confirmed that some reports he was asking about do not exist. And there's 1 or 2 just video issues that I'm gonna get straightened out for him in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
So that'll all be taken care of ahead of our trial setting.
Perfect. If anything changes, with regard, when you get that, with regard to the plea agreement, then you need to call and get that set for a plea earlier rather than right before trial.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Yes, sir. You're free to go. Stay in touch with Mr. Moore and he'll let you know when you need to be back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kimler on Timothy Lackney, cause number 23 DCCR 0247.
Okay, just a minute.
Yes.
Talk to Martin to see if he was hired on this.
Yeah. Remind me on that. Yeah. Mr. Wilkerson on Jermaine Jones, cause numbers 23 DCCR 0776, 0777, and 0778. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, sir. Are you Jermaine Jones? I'm sorry?
I am.
And Mr. Wilkerson, will your client waive the formal reading of the indictment in each case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Jones, in cause number 23, DCCR 0776, you're charged with the 3rd-degree felony offense of assault, family violence by impeding breath or circulation from May 29th of 2023. And how do you plead to that charge? Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily? And are you pleading guilty because you actually did what they charged you with? In clause number 23, DCCR 0777, you're charged with a 3rd-degree felony offense of obstruction or retaliation from May 29th of 2023. And how do you plead to that charge? Again, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily? And because you actually did what they charged you with? And then in clause number 0778, you're charged with a 2nd-degree felony offense of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon from May 29th of 2023. And how do you plead to that charge? Y'all marked 3rd degree, but that's a 2nd degree, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. Sorry.
With everyone's permission, I'll make that change on the written plea admonishment.
Yes, Your Honor.
So the 2nd-degree felony offense of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. And how do you plead? Again, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily? And because you actually did what they charged you with? In all 3 of these cases, I have here on the computer some documents that have your signature on them that the state has marked as exhibit number 1. Before you sign these, did you go over them with Mr. Wilkerson? And do you fully understand them? And do you understand, if I follow the agreements that you've made with the district attorney, that you will be waiving or giving up any right to appeal? And do you also understand, if you're not a U.S. citizen, that a plea of guilty or no contest may result in your deportation, exclusion from admission to the country, or denial of naturalization under federal law? And my understanding is that in each of your cases, you've agreed to a 5-year deferred adjudicated probation. 2 of them had a $500 fine written in. They should all 3 have that. Anna, if you'll look on would you send me back 0776, please? So all 3 cases, the agreement that I see is that you would be on a 5-year deferred adjudicated probation. There would be a $500 fine in each case, and you would be required to follow all of the rules and conditions of probation. Is that your understanding? State tenders number 1 in each case.
Objection, Your Honor.
It's admitted in each case. Is there any evidence that Mr. Jones is not competent?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Jones, in each of your cases, I'm going to find that you entered your pleas of guilty freely and voluntarily. Find that you are mentally competent and you understand the nature and the consequences of your plea. Find sufficient evidence in each case to find you guilty. However, I'm going to reset your cases so that the probation department can do pre-sentence report. That'll give me more information about you and your case, and then we'll come back at a later date for sentencing. You need to stop and talk to probation before you leave the courtroom, and she's sitting at that desk right there. All right, we'll see you back at sentencing. Thank you. Yes, sir. Mr. Cole. Mr. Gertz on Gustavo Chavez, cause number 39082. Morning. Good.
He's gonna need a son.
Okay. Good morning, sir. Would you please state your name for the record?
Mario Chavez.
And Mr. Chavez, if you'll just raise your hand for me. Do you swear that you're going to truthfully and accurately translate from English to Spanish and Spanish to English, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. And sir, you Gustavo Chavez?
Yes.
I need you to answer for him.
Yes, he is.
Okay. And Mr. Chavez's case is set for trial to begin with jury selection on November 13th. You can tell me. And what is the announcement, Mr. Gertz?
Judge, we can be ready. Our only issue would be we need to make sure we have a translator lined up if we are number 1 or 2. I'd like to. I'm not trying to ask you to hurry and put us at the top, but I'm saying whenever you decide to put us at the top.
So you'll need a translator just to sit with you for Mr. Chavez. And then the state, if you need any for witnesses.
No, our witnesses speak English.
Okay, so it would just be the one to sit and translate during the trial, correct?
For Mr. Chavez.
Okay. All right, then we will, I'll number the case. What's the state's announcement? All right, then I'll number the cases tomorrow after the jail docket and let you know, and we'll make sure we can have somebody available that's at the top. It's obviously getting old, and so it'll be time to get it tried if we can. All right.
Okay.
All right.
If there's hiccups. I don't.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gertz, you have Frank Collins, cause number 23 DCCR 1403. And on the last one, because it's a hard case, if you can get a motion that you need the court to pay for a translator.
I just need a good one. I think they can pay for it. I think we just need somebody that the court will approve versus using his son as the translator.
I mean, so that's, I guess if you're wanting me to get one, if they can afford to pay for it, then it doesn't go through me. You just need to work that out. We can give you a list. I don't care who you get. If it's just to translate for him, then it doesn't have to be
It's certified.
certain certifications don't really apply if it's just someone that, I mean, we have different ones that come to court. But if you want a certified, we can give you who those people are.
That's fine.
We have a list of those, but you'll need to get that taken care of, not through me. Does that make sense?
And we'd be happy to share some kind of information. I know she does.
Yeah, I mean, we have that as well, but that's not someone that I will get set up for you if they can afford it. Okay. All right, so you're Frank Collins. And Mr. Collins is charged with the 3rd-degree felony offense of unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon. And what is the announcement, Mr. Gertz?
Judge, we're asking for a little additional time to review the video and some other items in this case. I think this is a pretty early setting for him.
Any issues, Ms. Malfino? All right, we'll do a normal reset. Mr. Collins, make sure you stay in touch with Mr. Gertz so that you can go make an appointment and go over any issue, all the discovery and things that he has, and we'll see if we can get an announcement. All right. Thank you. So you're free to go. Mr. Gertz, you have Brian Hawley. Did I? 3 cases, cause number 23 DCCR 0069, 32918, 32919, and 32920, 4 cases. Good morning. Are you Brian Hawley? What is the announcement?
Judge, we're still asking for one additional reset on this. As you know, at our last setting, we had just been indicted for a new offense that had been carried out for a while, and so we're not even close to a resolution with the state, so we're asking for some additional time to get discovery and
So the new indictment is a different complaining witness than the prior 3, correct?
Yes.
but we anticipate under the rules, Judge, that the state would be allowed to present essentially all of it. So
No, I was
that's
just-
our issue with that.
Well, and I wanted to look to make sure it wasn't just the new indictment wasn't just another
Yeah, I'm sorry.
type of thing as the same 3 with the same complaining witness.
Absolutely.
Which would be a little different than having a new complaining witness for you to get more information about that case. So I'll just do any issues, Ms. Lesniak. I'll do a normal reset if you can. Obviously, that case is new. The other 3 are quite old. And so I'm kind of push a little bit so that we can try to get all 4 of them taken care of fairly quickly. So we'll do a normal reset. Mr. Hawley, make sure you go see Mr. Gertz between now and that next court date so that we can see if we can get a resolution one way or the other or know how your case is going to be proceeded with. Okay. Yes, sir. Mr. Gertz, you have Bert Rogers, cause number 35908. Good morning. Are you Bert Rogers? Mr. Rogers is charged with driving while intoxicated, 3rd or more. Mr. Gertz, what is the announcement?
Judge, we've been in contact with the state about this, and we're trying to work out a resolution. One of the things that Mr. Rogers has been doing is making efforts at sobriety and recovery, and we are continuing those efforts to try to come up with a resolution that the state can live with, so to speak. And so he just handed me a packet of stuff, but it's not going to be the complete packet. I think we're going to get this resolved without a trial. We're asking for more additional resetting to let us keep working on that process.
Ms. Malfino?
I have no objection, Judge, as long as all of the conditions remain in place with respect to obviously an interlock or not being allowed to drive, et cetera, with what the BAC was in this case.
Do you have an auto ignition interlock device on your vehicle? Do you drive? Why don't you have an auto ignition interlock device? That should have been a condition. It's a standard condition of all bonds on driving while intoxicated 3rd or more. You've never had an Who is your bondsman?
You have to be real fast, Judge.
Right, so that's a huge issue.
We'll take care of that
Obviously, we
today.
need to get in touch with, make sure we get in touch with Real Fast Bonds, make sure that they are aware of what the standard conditions are and that everyone has to follow those. You have 24 hours to get an auto ignition interlock device placed on your vehicle. You can contact your bondsman. They'll let you know where you can get that done. If you don't have proof of that within 24 hours, your bond will be raised and you will go back to jail. Do you understand? Other than that, we'll do a normal reset to give you some time to go over everything with Mr. Gertz. Make sure you do that. And we'll see if we can get an announcement at that next court date.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Is there Mr. Gonzalez on Rodolfo Becerra? Sir, Mr. There you are. Good morning, sir. Cause number 23 DCCR 0551. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Are you Rodolfo Becerra? And Mr. Becerra is charged with the third-degree felony offense of driving while intoxicated, third or more, from October 23rd of 2022. And Mr. Gonzalez, what is the announcement?
Your Honor, I'm Matthew Wynn on behalf of Mr. Gonzalez today.
I'm sorry, say your name again.
Matthew Wynn.
Okay, Mr. Wynn.
Your Honor, we're asking for a reset on this case. I think we are going to agree on a plea. And the resets do that, and we just wanted some time also to review discovery material.
Okay.
Judge, what I think happened, I've been working with their paralegal on this. I think they had a hard time understanding our online portal and the media requests that needed to be made. I've gone ahead and tendered the media today in court, and he's initialed that just to get it moving.
Thank you, Ms. Malfino. So, Mr. Becerra, I'm going to reset your case for about 30 days. It's very important that you make an appointment with your attorney so that you can go over all of the discovery. It sounds like they have everything now. And then we will get an announcement one way or the other at the next court date, whether it's going to be a plea or if it's going to be a trial. Okay? All right. Thank you, Mr. Wynn.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Silverman on Sadiq Ali, cause number 38503.
Yes, Your Honor. Neil Davis, I'm here with Jen and Ireland.
Good morning, Mr. Davis.
Good morning.
Okay. Are you Sadiq Ali?
Yes.
And Mr. Ali's case is set for trial to begin with jury selection on Monday, the 13th. I received a motion for continuance back in May. Obviously, I did not grant that because I figured lots of things can change between now and May. So what is the announcement? Mr. Davis?
Defense is ready, Your Honor.
Okay.
We're ready.
Okay.
I believe that one may have been, I know that's the one you're talking about. That was for a different setting.
There was a preferential
Yeah.
setting
And I
on
was
a,
set somewhere else, yeah. Which
Okay.
of course never, settled, so. We'll be ready, Judge.
Okay.
Ready. With
So-
bells on.
Perfect. It's obviously one of the older ones, so it's likely to be at the top of the list. It looks like previously there was a rejection quite some time ago that Mr. Ali rejected a offer of a 5-year cap. Has there been any change in negotiations or offers made?
We've discussed a probation offer on a felony, but it's my understanding, I don't think that's really something that's probably.
So, Mr. Ali, I want to make sure you understand, and Mr. Davis and Mr. Silverman understand as well, that after today, I'll number the cases that are set for trial tomorrow after my jail docket. After tomorrow at noon, there will not be any plea agreements accepted. in your case. If you change your mind and you want to enter a plea, it would be a plea of guilty open to the court for anything in the range of punishment. So I want to make sure you do understand that.
Yes,
All right. So if anything changes, Mr. Davis, obviously get with Ms. Lesniak. She can let me know, or y'all can let the court know by tomorrow before I number the cases, because once they're numbered, then that kind of kicks in and there won't be any plea agreements after that. All right. Stay in touch with your attorneys to let you know what your trial order is for the 13th. All right. Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Rojas, you have a Derek Thomas, cause number 23 DCCR 1115. Good morning, sir. Are you Derek Thomas?
Mr. Thomas is deaf, Your Honor.
Okay. And have you been able to communicate with Mr. Thomas?
Him and his father came by. His father doesn't speak sign language, however, but we were able to, he reads lips. So we were able to get a little bit done.
Does Derek?
Derek reads lips.
Yeah, but does he know sign language?
Yes, you know sign language. He knows sign language.
So we can obviously get you just need to request it, and we can get, if you need for meetings and things like that, we can get someone to sign.
Okay, I want to do that also. He wanted to look at the video. I got the video this morning, so I need time to go.
Okay.
With him as well.
Perfect. Just let us know. We can give you, I think there's a list maybe of those. And so that if it would make it easier when he meets you at your office or whatever we need.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you. We'll reset it one more time for you to have time to get all that taken care of.
Thank you.
And then we need to get someone probably to be here in court too, if there's going to be some agreement, if you'll just get with Ms. Holmes and let her know. See, Mr. Suddeth.
Yes, I was all right.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nichols. Let's see. Mr. Doyle still working on his. What is this? I don't have it. I don't have. Oh. Clause number 23 DCCR 0247 on Timothy Lackney. Mr. Kimler.
I was gonna see if you could get Mr. Capel another week.
Good morning, sir. You're Timothy Lackney, and Mr. Lackney is charged with third-degree felony offense of unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon, set for trial to begin with jury selection on the 13th. What is the announcement?
Yeah, I'm ready. The state, I would like to put on the record that the state did this morning make an additional offer of 10 years to be suspended and probated for 6 years. Mr. Latchney's informed me he's refusing that. So I am ready for trial.
All right.
I have a motion to suppress filed and also a motion to suppress statement of confession. I think the motion to suppress to be carried with the trial, the motion to suppress a statement of confession as it may be construed will be subject to a voluntariness determination, which will be a Jackson be done on hearing outside the presence of the jury, which we could do during the trial or pre-trial.
Okay.
But that's the issues of this.
Okay.
Would that be a dispositive?
No.
Neither of them would be.
I don't know, it may just be dispositive from their standpoint. If the court grants it, I'm sure they would have to dismiss it, but not from our standpoint.
Okay. And we might as well, carry the regular motion to suppress, obviously with the trial, but the other we could take care of depending on where it's numbered.
Yes,
we can take care of that ahead of time since we have 2 weeks. We'll find some time if it's numbered number 1. What's the state's announcement? All right, then I will number the case and Mr. Lackney, stay in touch with Mr. Kimler. He'll let you know the trial order tomorrow after I hear my jail docket. Let's see that time.
You wanted to come up.
Mr. Capel, Ms. Capel, I'm going to reset your case. Just to come up so you can sign a reset notice. It sounds like you haven't actually hired Mr. Kimmler in full yet. So I'm going to reset your case one more time to give you some time to get that taken care of. If you'll step in front of the clerk, she'll give you that reset notice. Ms. Holmes on Janice De La Fosse, cause number 40918. I'm gonna want her drug tested. Good morning, you're Janice De La Fosse. And Mr. De La Fosse, before I go through with any sentencing on your case, I want to have you drug tested this morning. If you'll have a seat in the jury box, we'll get that taken care of, and then I'll recall your case. Mr. Lewis on Brigado Angeles, cause number 23 DCCR 0291. Good morning, sir. You're Brigado Angeles.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Lewis, what is the announcement?
Judge, I've been in communication with Mr. Coleman on this case. I've gotten the discovery and he's gotten an offer to me. So I just need to get my client in the office so I can go over with him.
Okay.
I think it's something we'll be able to get worked out pretty.
So, Mr. Angeles, I'm going to reset your case for about 30 days. Call and make an appointment to go see Mr. Lewis. Now that he has all of the evidence in the case, you can go over that with him. Go over what the offer is from the state. And then when we come back, we'll see if we can get an announcement, whether it's going to be a plea or if you want a trial. Okay? All right. Thank you. You're excused. Mr. Lewis, you also have a Crystal Thomas, cause number 23 DCCR 0116. So there's two cases.
There's a new theft case that came through and she took care of it all.
Okay. Would have a
And it's not even on the document. She had a warrant.
okay. What's the I just need a
I'm getting.
thank you. Nope, it's fine. There's some little notes. I keep throwing something. Yeah. All right, are you a Crystal Thomas?
Yes.
And Ms. Thomas has two cases now. We've got 23 DCCR 0116. Ms. Thomas is charged with theft of property with two or more previous convictions, and that one's from October 1st of 2022. And then we have another recently indicted case, 23 DCCR 1719, which charges theft of property from April 6th of 2023. So while on bond for one theft of property felony, gets charged with another. That's the announcement.
Well, Judge, of course, I haven't had a chance to look, to see anything really on the new case yet. Our only issue right now mainly is that when the bond was set on the new case, I believe the bond, it was a bond condition for her to be on house arrest with a monitor.
Mhm.
She has started working since then, and I submitted over a copy of her work schedule. She works at Jack in the Box on 105.
You sent that via
Email,
email?
I sent to Kelly when we found out about the warrant.
Do you have the same schedule every week or does it change every week?
It rotates every week, Judge.
We only have 2 managers right now.
What?
We only have 2 managers right now, so we be changing to get some more managers to get trained.
Okay, so here's, I'm obviously, Miss Thomas, you need to be working. So what's the address? Which location?
I know it's the one that on the 105, so Jack in the Box on 105 in Major.
Over by Ritter Lumber.
That's it.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do, Miss Thomas. You are still, your bond conditions remain the same with one exception. You still are required to have a GPS monitoring device. You're still on house arrest. I'm going to modify that with, so the house arrest has the only exception to that is for you to go to work and home. You got to figure out somebody else to get you groceries or whatever you have to do. You're not allowed to go anywhere else. And for sure not into any other store. And you are going to be required as soon as you get your schedule each week to get that to Mr. Lewis, and then Mr. Lewis will provide it to the court and to your bondsman if they need to, so that they know that you are where you're supposed to be. So your GPS is going to show where you're supposed to be going. The exception, again, that Jack in the Box is located at 7380 Highway 105. That's in Beaumont, Texas, 77713. So it's kind of like Monopoly. You don't pass anything, you don't stop, you go straight through. If you don't, then you're going to go to jail and your bond's going to be raised. Do you understand? Answer out loud.
I do. I might get my kids from school, they don't ride the bus.
Is there a bus that goes to your house?
It's too, they say it's too close, but I have little kids.
How old are your children?
I have a 7 and a 10-year-old.
So how have they been getting to school?
I've been bringing
So you've been in violation of your bond.
No,
Your bond right now is that you're on house arrest.
but I'm saying
She
that
just
I
made
just-
that, she just
it
made
just-
that bond this week.
yeah.
It wasn't a previous condition on the bond she was already on.
Gotcha. Where do your kids go to school?
And Peach McWorth.
And you have how many?
I have 2 kids. I have 2 step kids. They're from my baby that who passed. I have well, not custody, but I have these kids too.
How old are they?
They like 11, but they go to March. They got a bus.
Okay. So the only other exception then is work again at that Jack in the Box on 105, and that you can take your children to school and pick them up from school at Peach MacArthur Elementary. The person who do you have your GPS through? Johnny's. So what happens is, I mean, Johnny sends us information every day about people that have GPS monitoring devices. We're going to send them a memo today so that they know the 2 places that you're able to go. If you deviate from the path to get there or not, or come back straight home, then they'll let us know about that. There'll be a warrant for your arrest and you'll be back in jail. Do you understand? And so I'll reset your cases so that Mr. Lewis can get all the information about that new case, and be sure to go over that with him. That will also be, I guess, the third exception is that you can take care of your legal matters, which means you can go to Mr. Lewis's office and you can come to court, obviously. Okay. All right. You're free to go.
Thank you.
Did I take care of Keandre Robinson? Mr. Suddeth was going over that. That's Mr. Suddeth. Are you ready? Cause number 41238 on Keandre Robinson. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. It's bad weather. I have to come in from Lake Charles.
Oh, yeah. It's a little nasty this morning. Good morning, sir. Are you Keandre Robinson? And Mr. Robinson was previously in court, entered a plea of guilty to the first-degree felony offense of aggravated robbery. I've received a copy of the pre-sentence report. Has everyone had an opportunity to review that report?
I have, Your Honor, and I've had a chance to go over with Mr. Robinson as well.
I've reviewed it, Your Honor.
Based on just kind of the age and the nature of this offense, before we go forward with sentencing, I'm going to have Mr. Robinson tested, to make sure his he doesn't have anything in his system. Have a seat in the jury box. Mr. Bro, come up, sir.
I apologize for the interruption. I've been here since the doors open. I've just been in the bathroom. I've got 6 people about right now. And I was in there trying to work one out, trying to get prepared for everything here.
Okay, I'll recall the bond forfeiture. Mr. Bro, you were previously in court and given some time to try to hire a lawyer. Did you get someone hired?
I've got an idea of who
Who'd you talk to?
I was going to talk to my wife before that. I don't know if it's outside or not, but I can speak to them before that.
Well,
I contacted Kevin Lane, but I didn't. I got that he was too full. He got a lot of cases on his plate.
Okay.
I'm
So
sorry
you
if
were
I'm
given
embarrassing you.
you were given 30 days to try to hire to talk to some lawyers. And so
I talked to
what?
like 3 or 4.
Who'd you talk to?
I was leaning towards Kevin, somebody out of Provost Law Firm. I was also speaking with, but they wanted too much due to my employment right now. I'm not able to afford that. But I was gonna talk to Mr. Rife when I left here and see about representing.
All right, so I'm going to reset your case for about 30 more days. You need to talk to Mr. Kimmler or whoever else. Make sure if you get someone hired, that's fine. Bring your reset notice to them and they'll tell you what you need to do. If you're unable to hire someone, don't wait till the last minute. Start making appointments with at least 3 lawyers. Bring me those names so I know you're trying, and then we'll discuss what your options are. All right, step in front of the clerk. She'll give you that reset notice. Yes, sir. Let's see, would y'all contact Mr. Cole? We haven't seen. Okay. Thank you. And then did Mr. Doyle? Are you still working on paperwork?
For about 45 seconds.
I'll call it when it's ready. See, we're waiting on drug tests. Ms. Holmes on no and not, cause number 41032. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. You're no and not. And Mr. Knott, did you make an appointment, go visit with Ms. Holmes? And what's the announcement?
Yes, Your Honor, we're still in the process of going through all of discover the videos mainly, what I'm waiting on.
Okay.
But he has contacted my office and everything. We just need to get the videos to.
Okay. So you're still waiting to get those. You've made that request.
Yes.
So I'll just do a normal reset. Mr. Knott, as soon as Ms. Holmes gets those, I'm sure she'll be in contact with you. So you can go to her office to go over all of the discovery with her and we'll see if we can get an announcement. Thank you. You're free to go. And then Ms. Holmes, you have Justin Leday, cause number 23 DCCR 0782.
Morning.
Good morning. You're Justin Leday.
Good morning, yes, ma'am.
And what is the announcement?
Same, Your Honor, I've met with Mr. Ledet in my office. We've gone over the written discovery, but still waiting on the video, the media.
Okay. Any issues that you know? All right. So Mr. Leday, I'm going to reset your case about 30 days to give Ms. Holmes some time to hopefully get those videos. And when she does, I'm sure she'll be contacting you to go visit with her about those so y'all can make an announcement. You're free to go, sir. Thank you, Ms. Holmes.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
are you ready on Luis Juarez?
Yes.
Cause number 23 DCCR 0596. Hey, sir, you are Luis Juarez. And Mr. Juarez, you still have your drug patch on? Okay, looks like the amounts were going down as far as the last time I got one. Mr. Kelly, what is the announcement?
And I also understand that our office sent results to the court.
Yes.
Of some testing that was done at a private facility maybe 2 weeks ago or so.
Yeah, I got that as well. That's from October 12th and tested negative for everything on that day. Perfect. All right.
Judge, we are continuing to work on terms of a potential plea bargain agreement with the court. Would allow us some time to do that. Supplement to that, Judge, I suppose that Leslie and I have spent a number of times in between these settings talking with each other, so the court to have the impression that only negotiating on.
No. I know you are. I'm just trying to look back and see time frames here. So Mrs. Lesniak, any issues?
No, Your Honor, other than, that you already handled the drug patch. And I had to ask Mr. Kelly to maybe have Mr. Lawrence visit a professional for a assessment that I want. That may help us negotiate.
Okay. And has that been done?
We're going to handle that as soon as we can, Judge.
All right. So I will reset it one more time. Obviously, the case is getting, well, I guess it's not.
We've mostly been here on bond conditions.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Okay, so we'll do a normal reset. That'll give you some time to get that report done if you're going to, and then we'll see where we get that next court date.
Thank you, Judge.
All right.
One other issue if I could ask the court. thought that I'd submitted a request last week. I think maybe in the fog of the court being in trial. Of course, I was here all week last week. Asked the court to allow Mr. Juarez to travel with family the week of Thanksgiving to California. My understanding is that there's a memorial service, or I think a funeral for a family member set that week. Of course, he's wearing an ankle monitor.
Yeah, if you'll just,
Is it on the same side of the family as?
I was going to say, is the complaining witness any part of that side of the family that would potentially have any contact?
It is Mr. Juarez's girlfriend who's been present at a lot of these settings. Grandfather.
No, you're not going to California for a girlfriend's grandfather's memorial. Absolutely not. So you don't need to sign that or send that over if you haven't already. Okay, we'll reset the case. Stay in touch with Mr. Kelly. He'll let you know when you need to be back.
Okay, thank you.
So it looks like we've got Mr. Cole, Mr. Doyle. I've got a couple waiting on. I've got Miss Holmes with De La Fosse on the drug test, and I've got the other Keandre Robinson on a drug test. And you haven't been in touch with Mr. Cole. Letitia McDonald. Miss McDonald, have you seen or talked to Mr. Cole this morning? Okay, just stay here till he gets here. Clause number 23 DCCR 0298 on Kimberly Bertrand. Mr. Doyle. Mr. Doyle, this is, I think, at least the third, if not fourth reset that Ms. Bertrand has had to be in court where you did not show up and did not let the court know any reason why you weren't going to be here. Obviously, I'm going to take care of it this morning, but in the future, if you have a case in the court and you don't show up, then you run the risk of a motion or me finding you in contempt. It's very frustrating to the court. It's very disrespectful to both the court and especially to your clients for us to all to be here, not hear from you, not know why you're here or not here. You've got to be able to contact the court, and we've got to be able to contact you. If we can't contact you, then that is part of the local rules, is that you obviously have a phone and a fax number that we can send you information to. If you don't, or an email, then we're going to have to sit down and talk about some alternatives to you being able to represent people in court. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Will your client waive the formal reading of the indictment?
Yes, ma'am. She will.
Ms. Bertrand, you're charged in cause number 23 DCCR 0298 with state jail felony offense of driving while intoxicated with a child passenger from December 27th of 2020. And how do you plead to that charge? Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily? Speak up, please.
Yes, ma'am.
And are you pleading guilty because you actually did what they charged you with?
Yes, ma'am.
I have here on the computer some documents that have your signature on them that the state has marked as exhibit number 1. Before you sign these, did you go over them with Mr. Doyle?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you fully understand them?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you understand, if I follow the agreement that you've made with the district attorney, that you will be waiving or giving up any right to appeal? And it looks like your agreement is that you would receive a 2-year term in the state jail prison, but that would be probated. You'd be on probation for 4 years, and there'd be a $500 fine, and you'd be required to follow all of the rules and conditions of probation. Is that your understanding?
Yes,
Do you also understand, if you're not a U.S. citizen, that a plea of guilty or no contest may result in your deportation, exclusion from admission to the country, or denial of naturalization under federal law?
yes, ma'am.
State tenders number 1.
No objection.
It's admitted. Is there any evidence that Ms. Bertrand is not competent?
None.
All right, ma'am, I'm going to find that you entered your plea of guilty freely and voluntarily. Find that you're mentally competent and you understand the nature and the consequences of your plea. Find sufficient evidence to find you guilty. However, I'm going to reset your case so that the probation department can do a pre-sentence report. That'll give me more information about you and your case, and then we will come back at a later date for sentencing. Before you leave the courtroom today, you'll stop and talk to probation, and she's at that desk right over there. I want to go ahead and do a written reset notice. I think we know when that date will be. Mr. Doyle, if you and your client will sign that reset notice in front of the clerk, that way everyone has that court date and there shouldn't be any reason for everyone not to be here on that next court date. If you cannot be, please contact the court. So if you'll step in front of the clerk, she'll get that for you. And then on your way out, after you sign this, stop and talk to probation. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Sudduth and Mr. Nichols on Keandre Robinson. Come on up, Mr. Robinson. What's going on with the other one? Oh, they're back there now? Okay. All right, you tested negative for everything, which obviously is a good thing. Any reason not to go forward with sentencing?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, how old are you?
19.
Speak up.
19.
Judge, I will address for the court. I know the input from the officers is not very positive towards this. That's the first that I've been made aware of that objection. Also, Mr. Robinson, you might, the court, I'll remind the court, we allowed him a little leeway in his traveling ankle monitor for work purposes, and that has worked out without any hiccups or any negative reports. For the last few months, he's been allowed to travel a couple different counties for work.
Well, actually, to that point, Your Honor, if you recall, we asked for permission for him to have a job up in Lumberton with the ankle monitor, and Your Honor granted that request. And so he still is actually still working for that company. They trying to grant that request. Then we did something extra at the plea date about 2 months ago. We asked the ankle monitor to be removed entirely. And so even for the past 2 months, Your Honor, gave that issue to Mr. Robinson. Okay, no ankle monitor at all, as opposed to just going up to Lumberton, and there have been no issues at all for the past 2 months. So he's shown a lot of compliance. He's just negative today across the board, and he's shown compliance with Your Honor's order. So there's a few other points I want to make about the PSI, but just to the point that Mr. Nichols was making about the ankle monitor, he's shown tremendous compliance with this court.
Where are you working?
All in one fencing in Wilmington.
Say it again.
All in one fencing in Wilmington.
Okay.
I'm trying to go to school for my CDL.
Okay. And are you working and doing both? You're trying to do, okay. I'm fine with following the plea bargain that you guys have made. I just kind of needed a little, a lot of times when I have young offenders like this, I will order ISF or something like that so that I give them some tools up front so they can be in compliance and work out things hopefully better. It sounds like. So Mr. Robinson, here's the thing. So that you understand what I'm saying, because your lawyer knows what I'm saying. A lot of times when I have young people like you, especially charged with something as serious as what you're charged with, I make them go and do something called ISF. It's the Intermediate Sanction Facility, and there's 2 different tracks. There's 2 different programs. One is for cognitive thinking. It's just to help you make better decisions. Obviously, you've made an extremely poor decision, and that's what got you here, right? You're still very young, and it is hard for young people to understand the true consequences and kind of magnitude of all of this. So my initial notes on your pre-sentence report was that I was going to make you do that. It's not a punishment. When I do that, it's really to give you some tools, but it requires you going into custody and you go into ISF. It's a 90-day program. It sounds like you're getting things on track, that you're working, you want to do things with your life. that obviously you wouldn't be able to do if you had a felony conviction. So I'm not going to order that today, but I hope you don't make me regret that. Okay. Because what happens is if I don't order it today, and you violate your probation and you come back, it may not be on the table then. Okay. So if you feel like you're kind of going down a path where things are getting difficult, you're getting overwhelmed, maybe because you don't have money to pay your bills, or you break up with the girlfriend, or you have a family member pass away. I hear all of these things all the time. People come in and say, well, I was doing great on probation, but then, my granny died and I just kind of went off, and, or just, especially at your age, I broke up with a girlfriend, right? Whatever it is, those things can't send you down the wrong path. And if you feel that happening, probation's there actually to help you. That's when you go ahead of time and say, hey, I'm in a bind. I can't make a payment, but I'm here. I need some help. I lost my job. Whatever it is, you ask for those things ahead of time. So you don't ask for forgiveness after. You ask kind of for permission ahead of time. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'm going to find that you entered your plea of guilty freely and voluntarily. Find sufficient evidence to find you guilty. However, I'm going to follow that agreement and defer all proceedings and place you on probation for a period of 5 years. You're ordered to pay a $500 fine and to follow all of the rules and conditions of probation. It's important. You will be placed on a mental health initiative so that there's any issues that you need help with, they're there to help you. If you have doctor's appointments, you're required to go. If they say you need certain medication to help kind of keep you stable, then that's what you're going to be required to do. If you do everything correctly on this probation, then this is a huge opportunity because you don't have a felony conviction on your record. And at the end of the probation period, if you're successful, the case actually gets dismissed. You'll never have a felony conviction. If you violate any condition of probation, you can be brought back into court. You can be found guilty of the offense, sentenced anywhere in the range of punishment, which is between 5 years up to the rest of your life in prison. I could sentence you anywhere just for violating your probation. And there will be an affirmative finding of a deadly weapon, which means if you violate and if you get time, you will have to serve half of that before you're eligible for parole. So this is just a huge opportunity that I hope you take advantage of. I'm handing you the trial court certification that shows that this was an agreement that I followed, and so you've waived any right to appeal. You'll need to have a seat here in the courtroom, and probation will call you up when she's ready to go over your paperwork with you. All right. Good luck to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Holmes on Janice De La Fosse. Ms. De La Fosse tested negative, which is great. Let's see who's Mr. Smith. I guess, and while we're waiting on him, I need to know, it looks like Ms. De La Fosse didn't show up for her pre-sentence report on 2 different occasions. And has there been an opportunity for her now to do that?
With probation,
Mhm.
I'm not sure. They said they pretty much went off of the information.
Yeah,
that
so
she
we're not, so here's
provided.
the thing, Ms. De La Fosse, I'm not going to accept this today.
She had went through, there was some mental,
I understand. And
episodes.
So, Ms. De La Fosse, my initial, I guess, what I was going to do initially, because you didn't show up for your pre-sentence report on 2 different occasions, was put you in custody today. That way we know it can get done, right? Because they can go, they know where you are. I know you've had some issues and you have been in some facilities between your plea and now. So I'm not going to put you in custody today, but I want you to understand this is extremely important. You have to today make an appointment to go get that pre-sentence report completed. Okay. They've already done what they can do without you. But the whole point of the pre-sentence report is to find out information from you and about you so that we know what you need and we know if you're, what conditions, what programs would help you to be successful on probation. Your criminal history just by itself could end up with me not even accepting this plea agreement, right? So you need to do everything possible to make yourself look better to me. And that means following all the rules and getting the pre-sentence report done. Then I'll decide whether or not I'm even going to accept the plea agreement. Okay. So I'm going to reset your case for that. You need to stop and talk to probation. She's going to give you some information about going and getting that done. If you don't get that done, there will be a warrant for your arrest, and I will not accept the plea agreement for sure at that point. And then we'll just have to see where we go. Okay. All right. Your case is reset. Stop and talk to probation before you leave. I don't know. We'll ask how long y'all need for that. Just do a normal 3 or 4 weeks. What else do y'all show them? He's not there yet. Mr. Rojas, you weren't waiting on anything else, were you? Okay, so we're just waiting on Mr. Cole to show up on Miss McDonald's case. Miss McDonald, don't leave until he gets here, okay? Court be in recess until Mr. Cole gets here.
Judge, last time I was here, you told me to call,
I did,
and
didn't.
yeah, I called a few times.
Well, here's the thing, you know where we are if you're calling on Monday morning. So you know on Friday, if you've got to be in another court on Monday, right?
Yeah.
So you call the week before and say, hey, I've got to be in Orange County, I've got to be in Hardin County, I've got to be down the hall. I'm coming. I'm just letting y'all know that I have another court to be in. We're in here. We can't answer the phones on Monday.
I understand, and I thought I would get in Judge Johnson, get in and out, and get down there.
But even still, your case here is set at 9.
Yes, sir.
So you call the week ahead and say, I'm going to Orange first. I can't be there at 9 o'clock.
All right.
Cause number 34153 on Letitia McDonald. Miss McDonald. Good morning, ma'am. You're Letitia McDonald. And what is the announcement?
Judge, I've been speaking with Jeannie LeBon over what we're going to do with this case. Ms. McDonald is her probation actually would have expired last week.
Okay.
She does have a new DWI misdemeanor in Orange County to deal with. Our intent, though, was to make sure she got through the month of October with a clean scram report, and then we would dispose of this case.
Okay.
Because she had a positive, but then was clean since September, or since that positive.
Right.
And since the time has come by on this case, it's our thought, and I agree with probation, that we can let Orange County do whatever they're going to do.
Okay. All right then. So you'll be
once I get the month of October scram report, assuming it's all negative, then we'll be doing a dismissal of the motion, Your Honor.
Okay. And you still have the scream device on? Okay. All right. Then I'll just wait to hear. We'll just do, as for now, we'll just do a normal 30-day reset. Obviously, if it gets
Sometime
taken
in the next
before
week,
then.
I'll get with Ms. LeBon again and confirm, and then I'll do it then.
Okay. Sounds
Assuming
good.
everything works out.
Thank you, Ms. McDonald. You're free to go. Thank you, Mr. Cole.
Judge, I apologize again.
All right. Thank